Steve McCurry, an American photojournalist, was born in 1950 in a suburb of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. He attended Penn State University, where he eventually graduated with a degree in theater arts and became interested in photography when he took pictures for the Penn State newspaper. McCurry then went on to work at Today's Post in King of Prussia, Pennsylvania, for 2 years before leaving the country to freelance in India. His travels to places like Pakistan and Afghanistan were the settings for some of his most iconic and memorable photographs that would be used in magazines worldwide, such as National Geographic. Overall, Steve McCurry has photographed conflicts such as the Iran-Iraq War, the Islamic insurgency in the Philippines, the Gulf War, Afghan Civil War, and many more. One of Steve McCurry's most famous photographs was featured on the cover of a National Geographic magazine in 1985. McCurry captured an Afghan refugee girl named Sharbat Gula from Peshawar, Pakistan, who was about 12 years old during the time of the Soviet occupation of Afghanistan. One of the most dominant aspects of this photo is clearly the girl's piercing eyes, which stare directly into the camera lens. The green of her eyes and the background combined with the opposing color of the red scarf draped over her head create an even more intense beauty and strength in the photograph. The girl's eyes give us a glimpse into her innocence and youth and the incredible strength she has had despite the struggle and despair she has experienced in her 12 short years so far. There is something incredibly haunting and fearful about her piercing green eyes in McCurry's photograph that has made this photo such a great success. One of the most interesting things about Steve McCurry's photograph entitled Afghan Girl is that he attempted to find the girl again for years after capturing her portrait in 1984. It was not until 2002 that McCurry and National Geographic were able to locate Sharbat Gula again, who was now about 30 years old, married, a mother of 3 daughters, and living back in Afghanistan. McCurry photographed Sharbat Gula again, and this time her eyes seem much less piercing to the viewer, and instead it is her aged face which stands out. It is clear from the marks and wrinkles on her face that her life events have worn away at her youth. The fear that radiated from the green piercing eyes of the young girl has become a lifelessness in this photograph years later. Also, instead of the green and red colors of the first photograph, McCurry captures the woman in a purple wrap this time, which adds to the lifeless and dull feeling of the photograph. One infamous tragedy that Steve McCurry photographed in the United States was on the morning of September 11, 2001. He was living in an apartment in New York City at the time of the attack and therefore was able to capture such meaningful photographs such as this one. McCurry compared the site to Pompeii, and one can see from this photograph just how deserted and dust-covered everything was. There is something extremely unnerving about the single being standing at the top of what was once a staircase and escalators, looking down on the destruction below. Also, the monochromatic color and sepia tones that McCurry shows in this photograph reflect the gloomy mood of the event. One of the most eerie aspects of this photo is the light radiating through the windows from above the staircase. It is almost a heavenly glow shining in, which is both ironic and saddening, considering how many people died tragically on this day.